Jeremy, that accent made me have to do this. I've got to go to Isabel. Isabel,
Sorry for that. Sorry.
show them how it's done.
I'm not going to try and show you, Jeremy. I'm really not.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for
Don't
butchering
be
your
sorry.
lovely accent.
Oh, we love it. I'm not going to try and do any American accent at all, because there is no such thing. As we know, there's about 15 of them.
You know, Isabel, I'm from Texas, and we could talk about an accent if you want.
Well, there you go. So I would like to ask about India. That's the moment I'm interested in. What happened? What happened specifically there for you to change your frame on what's next?
Okay, Scott, you didn't tell me people were doing homework on me here. Okay, this is good. So, Isabel, thank you.
Around here, Jeremy.
This is great. Wow, we're getting into it now. Actually, by the way, as an aside, I'm deeply concerned about what questions might come up next. If people are actually doing background, anyway. Thankfully, some of my foolishness was prior to YouTube being invented. There was, as an aside, a time where at a Kanye West and Usher concert back in my youth, there were 60,000 people chanting, "Go white boy, go white boy." And thankfully, YouTube was not a thing yet. So all that say, India is very much inbounds. What happened there, Isabel, was I was working for a startup. I thought I knew what I was going to do with the rest of my life. I was a management consultant and being paid well to do that. And I had a desire in my heart to be involved with economic development, whenever I retired or something, whatever that means. And I had a stint working in Bolivia at a kind of a startup incubator. I had worked in Zambia at an AIDS orphanage, but I had never had much experience in Asia. And so when I was in business school, I thought, okay, I'm going to spend the summer in India working at a high growth startup. And that startup was actually founded on some of the principles that I've had the fortune to be teaching now for the last 13 years around design. And I'm doing, typical MBA spreadsheet stuff, drinking lots of chai, bemoaning when the brownouts run through and the AC in the office turns off and things like that, which was an incredible immersion. But down the hall from me, there are these product designers who they'd be gone for, weeks at a time because they're living in the slums, working among the people that we're seeking to serve, trying to understand their needs and their pain points. And I found myself over the course of the summer just wandering down the hall, like, what are these people doing? And because this is such a radically different approach. I mean, I'm trying to, sign deals and distribution contracts, which aren't insignificant either, but what they're doing is really cool. And they, over the course of the summer, started going, you're kind of D-schooly. And, I would say, you're D-schooly. I thought that was an insult. I didn't know what it meant. It turns out it was a compliment. What they meant was I'm inclined towards a way of viewing the world and interacting with the world that is kind of designerly, unbeknownst to me. And so they encouraged me to attend a class at the D School when I got back to Stanford. It was in the early days of the D School. Wasn't like a well-marketed, platform at the time. And so, where the D School's in a double wide trailer on the edge of campus, you got to kind of tromp out there. I remember thinking as a business school student, am I even still on campus? As I went out for the first time, am I going to be kidnapped? What's going to happen here? But it was a really eye-opening experience for me. And I credit the founders of that company. It's called D-Light Design. I credit the founders of that company for cultivating an environment where design and business were had equal seats at the table, so to speak, in terms of the strategy of the organization, where I was enabled to see a better way of solving problems than I had been exposed to before. And that was that was like my first hit, so to speak. And then I had lots of other, epiphany moments, and I try to, share as much as possible in public. So this stuff is like, documented, but that was the beginning of my life being derailed, as I would say, pleasantly derailed.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for asking.